When it comes to fixing your life, the first step is to understand just how easy it is to rewire your brain and change it. This is what you call neuroplasticity. The high-value men understand this concept and use it to their advantage. You must understand that everyone has rewired their brain. Whether the person is a millionaire or bankrupt, everyone has rewired their brain throughout their lifetime by repeating the same habits over and over again. By understanding how neuroplasticity works and how you can rewire and change your brain, you are one step ahead in fixing your life. So before you can fix your results, you must fix your habits. And before you can fix your habits, you must fix your brain. By understanding this concept, you will be able to fast-pace your brain recovery from bad addictions as well, such as prawn. Before we dive into how you can use the concept of neuroplasticity to your advantage, let's see how you can use it to your disadvantage. Addictions, especially those related to pornography, are some of the most deadliest. Why? Well, because they are the most neuroplastic, meaning they can change and rewire your brain with so much ease compared to other addictions. There is a boatload of research that shows that if you consume frequent and consistent prawn for any amount of time, it will shrink your brain, and it will create underactivity. That's correct. Watching prawn for any amount of time, whether that be 5 minutes or 1 hour, holds the same neuroplastic effect. Doctors use a device called EEG, which stands for electroencephalogram. This technology helps them scan the performance of people's brain. Here's the shocking discovery. Doctors found that people who consume prawn have slower brains than those that don't. There's not enough power in their brains because it's constantly in anxiety mode. This concept can get technical, but let's keep it simple. There's a phenomenon known as HEBB'S law. We all know that our brain has neurons that make the pathway. Neurons that fire together wire together, and it depends on your choices which pathway you'll choose. You need to use the healthy pathway repetitively so that it is hardwired inside your brain. But here's the shocking part. Unhealthy choices lead your brain to create unhealthy pathways. This means that your brain won't know how to shoot out your neurons. Sometimes it might speed them out too fast, or sometimes too slow. So what happens? Simple. Because your brain is now using unhealthy pathways, you'll also start to feel unhealthy. You will find yourself feeling bored, overwhelmed, and exhausted. This is your brain's way of asking for more stimulation. And of course, we all know what that stimulation is. It's more prawn. It's asking for more of the addiction you have been feeding it. I want you to hear this quote. It reads, "Rule your mind, or it will rule you." This pattern of the brain to be fed with more addiction is exactly what it means for your mind to rule you. The only way out of this is by making your brain crave for the healthy habits. Just like your brain is telling you to feed it with the addiction, you need to get it to a point where it craves more of your healthy habits. We will discuss how to do this shortly. But the only way to get your brain back on track right now is to stop watching prawn. And this pattern will start to slow down. Otherwise, you will always be stuck in a negative feedback loop. Meaning, the more you feed your brain prawn, the more it shrinks and adopts unhealthy pathways. The more unhealthy pathways it adopts, the more prawn it will demand. Hence, you go round and round in a cycle where you are getting weaker over time. Simply put, it's nothing short of a slow suicide. Now, when you go out into the real world with all these negative behaviors, you won't be able to connect with it. Why? Because the real world is no longer stimulating enough. The fresh breeze on your skin, the warmth of the sun no longer gives your brain the dopamine satisfaction it used to beforehand. So what happens? You go back to prawn to get enjoyment. And that negative feedback cycle continues once again. Now, let's answer the main question you have been waiting for. How do you use neuroplasticity to your advantage? This is what you call the anti-Hebbian learning theory. For this, you'll unwire your bad brain pattern, while at the same time you start to make better choices and hardwire them in the new brain pattern. When you keep making better choices and keep repeating them, it'll become the optimal brain pattern by default. This is how neuroplasticity works. Through consistent feedback to your brain, it repairs the functional damage, then the physical damage. Like you heard before, it starts from the mind, then affects your actions, which affect your results. You need to reboot your brain, just like you would with a computer. For instance, if your computer had a glitch, you would turn it off and on again. That's what you will do here as well with your brain. Start by focusing on training your brain. Ask yourself, what is your brain doing right now? Is it asking for more prana? If so, then you must be aware of the negative feedback loop we talked about. The only way out is by weakening and breaking that cycle over time, by replacing it with other habits that you do over and over again. Ask yourself how you can control your brain. As I said before, pornography is one of the most neuroplastic activities that can completely dismantle your mind and thinking power. Fortunately, there are other neuroplastic exercises that hold a similar effect. So, in the beginning, replace prana with these activities to help you unhook from that addiction. Two of the most neuroplastic activities are video games and music. Even though they might not be as strong as prana when it comes to rewiring your brain, but they are by far the most brain-changing activities you can engage in. But here's the side effect. When you are unhooking yourself from prana by replacing it with music and video games, you can get addicted to them as well. Because just like prana, your brain will force you to feed it with music and video games every time, hence putting you in another negative feedback loop. This is why many people are addicted to video games as well. The key here is moderation. Only do these two activities in moderation, so your brain doesn't get hardwired on them. The secret to succeeding in life is to never be dependent on anything for happiness, whether that be music or prana or video game. You only want to use these as stepping stones to bring your brain back to healthy levels, where you can sit quietly in nature for hours without feeling the need to pick up stimulating material. Other neuroplastic activities you can use to unhook from prana include exercise, eating, memory games, juggling, and learning a new language or skill. When you start brain training, your brain will be in a healthier, stronger place. By making better behavioral choices over and over again, you'll strengthen your brain pattern. The key here is repetition. First, pick a habit that you know will put you forward in life. Then, repeat it over and over again until it becomes second nature to you, so your brain demands more of it every time. Think about it. The first time you watched prana, you didn't become addicted right away. Only when you repeated that action over and over again did it become hardwired in your mind. This is neuroplasticity, and you want to repeat it with other better habits. That could be waking up at 5 a.m. every morning. For first few days, you might need to use alarm, but once you repeat it over and over again, it will become so far engraved in your mind that you won't even need an alarm. This is why most 9 to 5 office job workers will wake up by 8 a.m., even on a weekend, because that's what their brain has been hardwired to. Over time, you'll find the hockey game more interesting. You'll enjoy sitting next to your loved one, sharing and laughing. And it will be easier than ever to get a good night's sleep. So, brothers, make sure to make regular and repetitive brain training sessions a part of your daily routine. Use the principles of neuroplasticity to change your life. By doing all this, you're actually de-shrinking your brain, making it run at a full capacity, and repairing the damage. You are now in a positive feedback loop, the upward spiral. By the way, don't forget to show some love. Tap that subscribe button and hit like for the algorithm. To see the next best way to level up as a man, watch these videos here.